Carol Noonan, the Pleiadian child of the Pleiadianchild.com. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. Thank you for reaching out to me. You reached out to me after you saw me post some sort of a comment in which I talked about some, I think it was either the Higher Self YouTube channel or the Awakening Our Truth YouTube channel posted some video called like the Event 2020 Coronavirus Update or something, and it had a Pleiadian contact. I think it was Michael Love, the guy in question who posted that, and the other channel uploaded it, and I said maybe I'm biased because I have Pleiadian in me. Michelle Walling told me that, and that's my star seed genetic of choice, that it seems. And you said I have Pleiadian in me too, so you wanted to friend me. And well, I thought at that point, okay, this was meant to happen. No disrespect to all the other guests who I put on my to contact as potential guest lists, but I figured I might as well reach out to you before I reach out to all of them because, well, you reached out to me. It's only makes sense that way. So everybody will get their share, but for now it's your time. So why don't you, before you give us the info that you can on the coronavirus and all that, please set the stage, tell us who you are, your life story, who contacted you, what star system, well, you know the star system, but why they contacted you, why they reached out to you. Please debunk the skeptics and confirm that this is not artificial intelligence masquerading as Pleiadians and all that. And then afterwards, we'll go from there. So you can be a primary source now. You've got the floor. I will not interrupt you. I'll put myself on mute.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm very good these days at, and I think I always have been, at recognizing similar energy to my own. So I'm very good these days at recognizing Pleiadian energy. And I do get a lot of, because I do readings as well, I do get a lot of readings where I get a lot of Pleiadian people coming to me, a lot of starseeds, normally wanting to know where they're from. But let me, so I just wanted to say, you know, it's nice to connect with you and everything. And you, I've no doubt that you do have Pleiadian connections and are probably a Pleiadian channel as well. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you for having me on your show. I have quite an unusual story, quite an unusual childhood, quite an unusual background. At times it's been quite harrowing, and at times it's been the very opposite. So through the okay, so I was born in South Africa. Mother was Irish. We left South Africa because she was getting a divorce, and we moved to Ireland, and then we moved to England for a few years after that. And one of the first experiences I had as a child was my granddad passed away and came back to me a week or two later, solid as anything. And I could have, if I had have reached out and touched what I was seeing, I'm sure I would have felt flesh and bone, or skin and bone, you know, because he was so real, so solid. And he gave me a message for her, which I gave to her the next day. And I'll never forget, the blood in her face just drained. She went pure white, and she just looked at me. It was a mixture of shock and horror and surprise and delight and disbelief. She just went silent and just looked at me because I was saying things that he had told me to say. Things like, she had a doctor appointment on the Wednesday. She had to go and sign divorce papers on the Thursday. She had an interview on the Friday. She had to do this, this, and this. Now, this was things that she hadn't told me. So I think it really blew her apart. I think it just blew her mind, because I was saying things that she knew were true. And she knew what I was saying was true, but yet everything she had been taught was the opposite of what I was saying. And I was only 9 at the time. I was just 9. So that was really where I started to realise that I was a bit different, and this wasn't normal. This wasn't what other kids were seeing or talking about, or adults certainly were not seeing the things I was seeing and talking about them. So I'll start with my childhood. My childhood was very, it was horrendous. It was absolutely hell on earth. I had a lot of abuse, sexual abuse, poverty, rape, alcoholic mother, I actually ended up pregnant as a child, which was, let me just say, it was a very difficult time for me. And touch wood, I never gave birth. So I'm not going to go into that now. If anyone wants to know about that stuff, it's in my book, The Pleiadian Child, by Noonan. I'm not going to go into that because that's quite dark stuff. So I'll just say simply that I've really been through some horrendous stuff in my early childhood that led me to wanting to commit suicide at the age of 12. And I don't say that lightly, because I just wanted out. I was done. I'd had enough. Didn't want to be here. Wasn't a cry for help. It wasn't seeking attention. I was just quietly in my room, sobbing my heart out, not wanting to be here. I wanted out. I'd had enough. I was done. Didn't want to know, didn't want any more, didn't want to tell anyone, just wanted to leave quietly. And so I went into my room and I lay down on my mattress on the floor, which was all I had. And all I wanted, I was quite happy with that. I didn't want a bed or anything. So I left my body, and I was distraught at the time, sobbing my heart out. And I went up to the right-hand corner of the room, of the ceiling, and I looked down on myself, and Jesus came to me, as real as anything. And I went through a tunnel and a white light, and I had the whole out-of-body experience. And I was gone for 3 or 4 hours. And during that time, he showed me my story, my karma, why I was here, why I was going through the things I needed to, and I did need to, what the lessons were, what the outcome was. He showed me everything about myself and my spiritual development and my learning and my understanding and my karma and all of the stuff for myself. I call it the small stuff because it was to do with me. And then once he'd done that, once I got it, I understood why I was here, what I needed to learn, how to move forward, and more importantly, that it was okay and that this would pass. And then once he'd done that and I understood in my heart what was going on and why I was experiencing and had experienced the things I had, once I understood that, then he showed me the bigger picture for humanity. I don't remember word for word what he said about the bigger picture for humanity. I have it in here, in my heart center, and I have it in my subconscious, but I don't remember word for word. I do plan this year to go and have regression done or hypnosis by someone who's reputable, who has a good reputation, and have it recorded so that I have evidence of some kind that I had that experience. Now, when I came back from the experience, internally I was blissful, totally blissful. I'd gone from one extreme of emotion to another, and I came back and I was just so blissful internally for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then that gradually ebbed away. But I was still in the same situation. I was still with the same people. I was still in the same house. I was still with the same kids at school bullying me. I was still had dangerous men around me. Still had my cousin around me who was the guy that raped me. Was still in the same situation. But my perspective and my understanding and my viewpoint had completely shifted and was the very opposite of how I was before the experience. So that really was a game changer for me. That was the start of my awakening. That really, turned everything around for me, everything. So that was quite an eye-opener for me. Andrew, are you still there?
Yes, yes. Thank you for making it clear that that is that's where you wanted to stop. And by the way, I do see you have a Pleiadian Child YouTube channel. Hasn't been on for any more than a year, and doesn't seem like you've promoted this much because you only have 76 subscribers. I would like to change that for you. I'd like to give you the chance to, when this interview is done, you are more than welcome to kill two birds with one stone and upload this interview to your channel. If you're not recording this now, I'll send you the interview when we're done. So just out of curiosity, I can't help but notice that in looking at you in the video screen right now, you have light blonde hair in your avatar pictures. You have red hair. Please don't tell me you dyed it blonde, because gentlemen naturally prefer blondes. I hope that had nothing to do with it. Was it just a sake of variety choice that you decided to do that?
I've had many different hair colors.
Oh, just a little art, certain artist. Okay, fair enough. And now I wanted to ask you. You think that I am a Pleiadian contactee? Well, to say I'm a contactee is a huge stretch. I mean, for someone to say that they're a contactee, they kind of need, well, something that they can confirm from their own heart soul essence that they truly are channeling a Pleiadian entity. I mean, I've had times where I thought I had a thought implanted in me. I had times where I was seeing like closed-eye visuals of a very profound nature, like the angels were trying to guide me on a path or something. But I've never actually had a experience per se that I could construe as one that would make me worthy of being called a Pleiadian contactee. So, what is your criteria for referring to someone as a contactee, in the sense that you suggested that I'm one?
These days, because I don't like saying, because I'm just going to have to use the words that I know. I'm more advanced than some people, and I'm less advanced than some people. So I'm behind some people and I'm ahead of some people. So these days, because I'm ahead of some people, I'm able to recognize, well, not because I'm ahead of some people, but because of my experiences and my understanding and my knowledge. And it has been a process. There was a time when I didn't. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a time when someone said to me, "Have you heard of the Pleiadians?" And I said no. And she said, "Well, one day you're going to channel them." And I just looked at her and thought, yeah, okay, whatever, you know. I was open. I was very much on the fence, but I wasn't where I am today. So we don't suddenly stand up one day and say publicly that we are channeling the Pleiadians, because it doesn't work like that. It's a process of learning, of understanding, of experiencing, of waking up. And then you get to the next level, and then you do a bit more and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. So it is a process. It comes in stages. And I'm still learning. I'm still channeling. I'm kind of in mid-flow these past few days. I've been in mid-flow of channeling the Pleiadians. But when I get people like you who do have a Pleiadian connection come to me, I do feel it. These days I feel the energy around you, and I'm always feel very drawn to Pleiadian energies on Earth. I feel very drawn to people like you who have a Pleiadian connection. And I just feel it. I feel it. I feel the energy of the person, and I also feel the energy of the Pleiadians they are connected to or connecting with. Now, a lot of the time, what happens with people like yourself is that we are connected to them on the astral plane, and we connect to them when we're asleep in the dream time or the dream state on the astral plane, because that's where we go when we're sleeping, the vast majority of the time, and we connect with them. The majority of the time we don't remember it when we wake up in the morning. So I feel that that's what's happening with you. I do feel that you are a starseed. I feel you've got a very strong Pleiadian connection, and I feel others around you as well, like Syrians or not sure who the others are, but I do feel other energy around you. I feel Archangel Michael, and I also feel Jesus energy around you as well. I'm seeing an image of a rose, and I'm also seeing or feeling an image of a female deity, like Mother Mary or Kuan Yin. Not sure who it is, but very female energy. So I don't want to go into giving you a reading on the radio, but yeah, that's how it works.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I prefer you not give me a reading. I never ask
Yeah,
anybody
I
to do a
won't.
reading during the show. It's
No, I
not
won't,
important.
Andrew. I
Yeah,
won't, darling.
good.
It's not the done thing.
Right. But yeah, I could certainly confirm that I think you know what you're talking about, though. People, some light workers and such told me that during meditations they saw Archangel Michael going crazy over me, like they've never seen Archangel Michael go crazy over everyone before. I mean, the thing about Jesus, I mean, there was a time where I experimented with church for a little bit. It didn't resonate with me, so I decided to leave, but I have no doubt that Jesus, as he exists in the Bible, that's a twisted story. But the idea that he and all the other religious figures did exist, yeah, I'm sure they did, but their stories have all been twisted. Like Jesus was a solar being, and I'm very big on the sun. I love sun gazing. I've even bought myself a gold 24 karat gold necklace to wear, and gold is the physical representation of the spiritual essence of the sun. So yeah, I think I can confirm that they're definitely onto something there. Now, when it comes to the Pleiades, I resonate with that too. I mean, Billy Meyer, I resonate with his work, and I've also resonated with that girl from the Cosmic Agency YouTube channel who's become really popular over the last like year and a half. It's been that she's been giving out great interviews. I don't know if you heard about her. Her name is Gosha, and lots of people, including Carol Hudson and Rob Potter, said that they resonate with her too. The problem, though, and this just makes for a great radio conversation. I don't want to create a conflict or anything, but it's a great thing to talk about, and maybe you could help make sense of something like this. Gosha has unfortunately become the victim of some attacks recently because Tolek, who's the contactee for the Andromeda Council, Tolek has contacts that come from different star systems. One of the Andromeda Council representatives comes from the Tegeta star system in the Pleiades, and Gosha claims to be contacting with an entity named Svaru, who also is said to come from Tegeta. And Tolek has asserted that Gosha must either be faking or she's contacting an artificial intelligence entity masquerading as a Pleiadian entity, because he asserts that his Andromeda Council contacts have told him that the entity that Svaru claims that he or she is, and the council or whatever the group that it comes from, does not exist. And Tolek has been very assertive that my contacts on the Andromeda Council are of such a high level of consciousness, they would definitely be aware of the existence of such an entity if it did exist. And Alfred Weber, unfortunately, he has kind of been friends with Tolek since 2011, when Tolek did great interviews with him, revealing a lot of stuff. So even though Alfred did support Gosha at the beginning, he kind of double-crossed and betrayed her and started saying bad things about her and started saying, I wouldn't trust Gosha, she's probably being suckered by a artificial intelligence entity. Now, the idea that this entity could actually be trying to confuse people doesn't really make sense, because I've been listening to Gosha and her messages. There's only like one or two things that I can think of that I could construe as like information that's been meant to confuse someone that doesn't resonate with something that someone else said. And the information that she gives is pure love and light, purely helpful, nothing that the cabal would want people to hear. And I mean, is it possible, I've even entertained, that maybe she is being suckered by an artificial intelligence entity, but the artificial intelligence entity, the reason it's suckering her is because it wants to help humanity. It's actually benevolent artificial intelligence, but it doesn't want to say, I'm an artificial intelligence, because then it would like cause people to not trust her. So it just wants to masquerade as a Tigetan extraterrestrial for its own well-being, maybe, and maybe for her well-being and everything. I mean, I'm throwing out a lot of speculation out here, but how can we make sense of this? I mean, are you really just going to say, Andrew, you and everybody else just have to use discernment, and that's all I can tell you? Or is it possible that, yeah, this could be an artificial intelligence entity, or maybe could Tolek's contacts be lying just as a way of testing human discernment to see how good our discernment is, so they would actually lie in order to test us?
Well, that's really quite deep stuff. Okay, so the first thing I want to say with regards to that is that I am a channel for the Pleiadians, and it's taken me a long process in order for me to accept that within myself. And I don't research stuff. I don't research other Pleiadian channels. I want to keep away from what's written about the Pleiadians and what the Pleiadians are saying. So I don't research stuff. I don't know who's who. I don't know a lot of the names of the other Pleiadian channels or other channels, because I just want to get it directly from them. I don't want anything else outside of myself and the Pleiadians to influence what I'm writing and saying about, because I want to know for sure within me that I haven't read it somewhere and it's in my subconscious, or haven't seen it and it's in the back of my mind somewhere. So I just channel the Pleiadians and I just get information from them. And I very much was in that mode when I was channeling in Ireland. I've been in the UK for a couple of years now, and I'm starting to realise that I need to start researching stuff. I need to start researching some of the people that are coming out now, like Gosha, you said it was, and making more connections with people of a like mind, of a similar mind. There is a very dark side to this stuff. I actually feel like I've opened Pandora's box and I can't close it. Even if I really wanted to, which I don't, I wouldn't be able to close it. But in getting to your question about Gosha, I think it's pronounced Gosha. I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about, is it Andrew Webb you mentioned?
I mentioned Alfred Weber, who runs Exopolitics TV,
Okay.
and Tolek, who's the Andromeda Council contactee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with regards to answering your question about them, I feel like I've opened Pandora's box and I couldn't close it if I wanted to. Now, I started off being a Pleiadian channel, and it was wonderful. It was amazing. It was beautiful. They're very much about love and light, and I really feel that off them. But on the flip side, there's also a very dark side to things, like the Milab negative military agenda with the Milaps and the Black Ops and all kinds of negative stuff going on. Really dark stuff, which I have experienced and I have been a target of in the past, and that's I'm getting more help now, so that's being sorted out for me. And I myself had quite a negative experience in Egypt, where I myself was I'd gone on this spiritual holiday, and I'd actually borrowed a lot of money from a friend stroke student to go on the course. It was £2,000, and I did that. And then gradually over a couple of days, the tutor turned on me, which I can kind of relate to Gosha. I can't pronounce her name.
Gosha, Malgosha, I think. It's short for Malgosha.
Okay.
Doziak, I think, is her last name, of Cosmic Agency YouTube channel. Yeah.
Okay. I will check her out after this. But I was turned on in a big way. In a big way, where I was kicked out of the course and chased around the centre. And this is by a woman in Egypt who has a mystery school, a sacred mystery school, I will add. And she totally turned on me like anything. And she, very dark stuff. And I'm not going to go into detail about it, but as a result, a very good friend of mine died. Which wasn't it wasn't an accident, so I'm not going to go into that. At some point I will write a book about it when I'm ready, but she turned on me. Not only did she turn on me, but she turned the whole group on me, and there was about 10-20 people there. So people can, and I hadn't done anything wrong. I wasn't working for the negative agenda. I was in my heart, I was connected to the Pleiadians. I know that I was coming from love and light. I know that there was nothing negative within me. But she totally turned on me, and she got everyone else to turn on me as well, which was horrendous. They, I left with them thinking that I was negative and I was bad and I was in tune with negative ET energies, which I wasn't, and thinking that, and they were thinking that I was negatively psychic attacking her and doing black magic. So there is, and I just recently went for a healing session to do with this, and it turns out that the energies she was saying I had within me were actually within her or working through her. So that it's possible that could be a similar situation with the two people involved there. I can't really comment on that, Andrew, because I don't know anything about them. I don't know who they are, where they're from, or anything. But I think that, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. It could be to do with ego. It could be to do with, anyone who attacks anyone negatively, when they are, working for their within their heart center and working for the highest good. Anyone that goes after people like us, spiritual workers or psychics or mediums or light workers or Pleiadian channels, there's something very wrong there. Something very wrong there, because even if you believe that to be true, there's something very wrong with the dynamics of a spiritual person going after someone else who is spiritual, especially when they're working in the field. What they should be doing is, maybe she is connected to negative ET energies, or they've connected to her, because they do try and use us. They do try and target, or they do target channels and light workers, and because they know they have internal power, they have ability to move mountains through energy. So we do get targeted by negative energy, whether it's military or Milabs or the Black Ops or negative agendas, whether they're earth-based or ET energy-based, and those two are connected. So the negative military is connected to the negative ET. So wherever we're getting targeted from, to me, it's all the same thing, because they're both connected. They're working in coherence with each other. So, maybe she is being targeted and maybe she does need help, but to attack her is not the way to go, especially publicly. But I can't really comment more than that, because I don't know the whole ins and outs of it. But when you target someone negatively, that is the energy you're holding within you. Whether you're the Dalai Lama or the King or the Queen of Rome, or a guy channeling, or a guy connected to the galactic, whoever you are, if you're targeting someone and in a negative way, then you're holding that negative energy within you. Now it's different if you are targeting someone who is in power or in government, or a negative agenda, or a negative being, or a negative influence, or a negative force, and you absolutely have concrete proof that they are doing that, or a corporation that is doing that, or a oil company that is doing that, or a government that's doing that, or a group of people that's doing that, or the chemtrails. It's different when you know without a shadow of your doubt in your mind, and you have proof that that is happening, then that's different. But to target someone who is spiritual is very unspiritual. So then I have to question, well, that person who's targeting the other person, where are they coming from? Why are they doing that? Because they're focusing on the negative stuff. And that is not what we are about. That is not what we are about. We are about love and light, and that is basically it. Love and light. And
exactly.
loving each other, regardless of whether we're white or black or Indian or African or Jewish or a woman or a man or a child or a dwarf or disabled or how we look. It is about, because we are all connected. We are all one. We are all one. And at the very highest level, the God source level, or the universal energy, there is no light and dark. There is no war of the worlds. So at the highest level, it all is the same universal energy.
Yes, it is. I cannot deny that. Now, this idea that we really shouldn't focus on negative things and should focus on the positive. Well, some people are going to agree to disagree with you on what the best strategy is in this 3D matrix where there's free will interference and what the best way to like get out information may be. Now, I'm going to give you the chance to spill the beans on what you know about COVID-19, but before you do, and this ties in directly with what you just said about negative stuff, it seems like one individual who's being really, really suppressed and attacked right now for the COVID-19 thing is David Icke. He recently did a video that was where he suggested a very radical idea that there is actually no COVID-19 virus. What's really going on is that 5G energies, I said 5G, not 5D, 5G energies around us with the wireless systems and all actually cause our cells to become toxified, and they release some sort of genetic material, and this genetic material, David Icke says, is the thing that, well, it resembles COVID-19 virus in every single way, and this is what they're actually testing for, what they're saying is the virus, and they're fudging and manipulating so many things to keep us all in a state of fear about this. His video where he said that actually got censored. Now, some people would say, well, okay, I'm sure he's mistaken in thinking that this thing that comes from the cell is the virus. Some would assert there's definitely a virus. It's only a coincidence that this substance that he's saying could be what we're suckered to believe is the virus. But the thing about David Icke, though, aside from that controversial thing he said about COVID-19, David Icke's style has always been expose every negative weak link that humanity has until there are no more weak links to expose. We've been hearing ever since this COVID-19 outbreak comes, I'm not going to really name any names here, but people have actually gone far out saying this is great. I mean, this may seem scary and all, but it's a good thing because after this is over, we're going to have an economic reset. There's going to be a gold-backed currency coming out. There's going to be no more Wall Street rigging and corruption, and everything is going to be much more better and smoother. It's all just the calm before the storm, and it's going to be a good storm where we're going to have more economic prosperity, and eventually, as the theory goes, according to some people, the solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024 will be the end of the Illuminati agenda on planet Earth, totally, entirely. That's the end of the Roman Empire, the modern era that is America and the Illuminati.
Sorry to intervene there, Andrew. Sorry to intervene there, but can you just say that date again?
April 8th, 2024. That's the date of the solar eclipse that's going to crisscross America in basically the opposite crisscross across America as the 2017 eclipse that happened in August 2017, and Carbondale, Illinois is the crisscross point of this eclipse in 2024 and the one that happened in 2017. That is the date that, and that's when Pluto and Capricorn is said to end too, which signifies the end of everything in humanity's best interest being destroyed. So Brad Johnson, who channels a drone, as another channel I'm mentioning here, he gives that time period in 2024 when the Illuminati is going to be basically over. So even though they're saying mass arrests are happening now of the Illuminati minions and their overlords that are on Earth anyway, they're saying.
Have you seen anything on? I'm sorry to intervene there.
Go ahead.
Have you seen any of the arrests being reported to start to happen? Because I'm watching out for those.
Well, they're not going to say anything on the mainstream news, of course, but the idea is that David Wilcock, he said that there was some sort of like a D-Day-like invasion, like a Normandy invasion that happened recently in Europe of sorts, but the purpose of this invasion, unlike D-Day, is to go into the bunkers and free all the children under that are being through the child trafficking and sex and all that and abuse, and that's been taken out. And now that they've taken that out, they're gonna take the mass arrest a little bit more seriously. That's the theory. And well, the Illuminati is gonna fight back and all, and they're gonna keep fighting back until 2024 when that eclipse will signify their end, allegedly. But the point, I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. The thing I wanted to talk about, well, give you the chance to say what you know about COVID-19 and whether David Icke, what he says is right. The fact that his video got banned like that, is that a dead giveaway that, well, he was right when he says there is no virus, it's just genetic material that's masquerading as a virus. Let's take this bit by bit, so we don't. Okay.
So I do have a whole load of information to share with you, and I've been in mid-flow of channeling the Pleiadians over the last couple of days, and I have written. I thought I had. So I've recently written a book, an ebook that is published through my website, and that is about the coronavirus. Now, I tried to get it published through Amazon, and they banned it immediately. They're not going to publish it, and they haven't told me why. And I've sent them 2 or 3 emails asking why have you banned this? What is it? Because I asked them in a way because I wanted them to give me an answer, and they won't. But I asked them what I did wrong so that I can change it. Now, I wasn't going to change anything, but I wanted them to say what I did wrong, what they think I've done wrong. So they haven't answered me, they haven't responded. So I've had to publish it on my website myself. And since I did that, I've had new downloads of information coming to me. Now I'm very clear when I channel the Pleiadians. I'm very clear that I don't watch the news as much as I can. I don't read anything. I don't. I'm just in that space of downloading the information. So the information I have is from the Pleiadians. Some of it is channeled in the first section in the first book, because I haven't uploaded the other information yet because it's still coming to me. So I'm going to call it book 1 and book 2, or update it. But so the majority of what I've written in the first book is channeled. And I'm going to have to update it when I feel that the information has stopped and that they don't need me to say any more. So I've watched both videos about what David Icke is saying and what David Wilcox is saying. I resonate with both of them. I think they're both amazing people. I think they're both very spiritual, and I think they've both got a lot of truths to share and to say. I think they're both starseeds. I think they're both here with a mission, with a purpose, with a reason to share and to teach the spiritual stuff. I think we're going to need them when the shit really hits the fan and people like them. Okay, so I'm going to start to go into the information I've been given recently and over the years. So basically what's happening on Earth now is that this is the biggest event in humanity's history of mass awakening. It not only affects the coronavirus, the coronavirus is not the only thing that we're being shown. So if you're in a theatre and you're looking at the stage, we are being shown the coronavirus on the stage. But when you look behind the curtain, there are a multitude of things going on all at the same time, which we're not seeing. Now, this is the negative agenda. We are at war on the earth and above it. There are negative ET energies. There are also positive ones. You cannot have something exist in the universe without the opposite being true also. You cannot. It goes against universal natural law. If you have an angel, you have a demon. If you have good, you have bad. If you have black, you have white. If you have sweet, you have sour. If you have chalk, you have cheese. You have good and bad on earth and above it. So we have good star nations and negative ETs, and that's how I word it, because that's how I've been shown. And this war has been going on since the downfall of Atlantis. Now, what happened is that a positive ET energy came to Earth and settled in Atlantis. And they lived there very happily, very blissfully, very peaceful, very innocent, quite vulnerable to attack. Their energy was very different, operating at a much higher level, a much higher frequency. They had huge temples of crystal. And I've seen this myself, so I know what I'm saying is spot on. Because I don't tend to, I could be told that the sky was blue. Maybe that's a bad example, but I could be told white was white. but unless I channel stuff, I'm either on the fence with it or not, you know. So I know what I'm being shown is accurate. I absolutely know it in my heart and my soul that what I'm being shown is accurate. So that the Atlanteans, they were operating at a much higher frequency, lived a lot longer, had a lot more healing abilities, a lot more abilities than we do today, and operating on a very much higher frequency, much more spiritually aware. And then they were seen from above by negative ET energy, who, and I don't know the time period of how long it took the negative ET energies to come in and invade and overtake Atlantis, but they did do it. They didn't do it overnight, but it took it took a period of time. I don't know what that period of time was, but they did do it. They came in, changed the DNA, and corrupted and infiltrated and turned everything bad, which began the downfall of Atlantis. And then it was swept into the sea. Now, I do believe that Atlantis is at Antarctica. I do believe it's beneath the ice at Antarctica. So that's what happened. We're on a very parallel time frame to Atlantis and what happened then. Except, and here's the big thing, except that we are aware, a vast majority of us are awake, aware and conscious and know what's going on, know that there is a war between light and dark, between negative and positive ET energies, and that it's a war for ownership of the earth, and that's what they want. They want ownership of the earth. Now, at Atlantis, they didn't see it coming. We do. But there is a huge similarity between, and David Wilcox does say this, between, and I know it to be true because the Pleiadians have told me, but it's a very important, significant parallel link between what happened at Atlantis and what's happening now on Earth. It's almost like it's replaying itself again, like history is repeating itself again. But this time we do see it coming. The Atlanteans didn't see it coming because they were operating at a much higher frequency, and the lower frequencies, they weren't able to, it's like a radio station. They were at opposite ends of the spectrum. So the Atlanteans didn't see the negative ET agenda coming, and it just hit them and it blew them out of the water. And that was the beginning of the downfall of Atlantis. They also, the negative ET energy at the time, they also changed the DNA of us, of humans, of humanity. They changed the DNA. I don't know how they did it, but I know they did it. I also know, believe that because they've showed me that the Pleiadians created us in their image. So we are genetically created by the Pleiadians. That is my belief. That is my understanding. That's what I know to be true. There are others who would disagree with me, and that's fine. But they don't have to attack me for my beliefs. And that's why I'm in support of David Icke. Because he will speak his truth. It doesn't have to agree with me, but we don't have to have war about it. We don't have to we don't even have to disagree. We can just say, well, you know, that's okay, that's fine, David, but I don't agree with you. Let's go and have a cup of tea, which is something that he himself will also say. And I've heard him say that, you know, we don't have to go to war because we disagree, or go to war because we're a different colour. You know, we're all connected on a deep level, on a higher level. We are all God energy. We are all source energy. We are all connected. We are all one. And the negative agenda is trying to get us to destroy ourselves by putting us at war with ourselves, with our brothers, our sisters, man against woman, black against white, Christian against I can't find the word, but you know, we're set up. Everything we've been taught is a lie. It's a complete nonsense, you know. So and I'll go more into that after I just want to get through some of this information first. So what I've been told is that this is a bioweapon that's been created on purpose by the negative agenda. And it's not something that was by accident or anything like that. I believe that it was created on purpose with a big plan, because there's so much going on behind the scenes. There's lots of different things going on all at once. It's not this, the coronavirus is not an isolated, separate condition. It has several ties in with things like food and pharmaceutical companies and 5G and chemtrails and money and bank and the internet and power cuts and birds and vaccines, and there's a whole load of things being put into place and going on behind the scenes. So it was a bioweapon that was created by the negative agenda, who are ruling our governments, who are in control of the large corporations, the Illuminati, the secret societies, the banks, the supermarkets, the pharmaceutical companies, a whole load of people in power. Okay. Do you have any questions before I go through the other?
Well, yeah, since you're giving me the chance, I might as well point this out. Just the side issue about David Icke and why he chooses to give out information in the way he does. Some people have gone over the extreme here, like Lily Earthling Kosalova, who's probably going to leave a comment on this because she's done on the Facebook group for my show and whatnot, and also on the videos, likes to have a field day debating this kind of stuff. She actually went as far as saying that David Icke actually feeds off of our fear energy, and that's why he spews fear porn all the time and doesn't really talk about things that some people may prefer him talking about. Like, why isn't he talking about mass arrests happening? Why isn't he talking about maybe an economic reset happening and this coronavirus being a cover for that? Well, David Icke's made it very clear that he thinks that talking about that stuff could potentially make humans act like couch potatoes and sit on their asses and do nothing and think, oh my God, we're going to be saved by all the white hats, and I could just sit on my butt and do nothing, and all these mass arrests are going to solve the problem. And well, David Icke does not want people to think like that, so he prefers to give them a nice kick in the pants by spewing fear porn to make them well, not go about it that way. But
Can I just intervene there, Andrew?
Yeah.
It's just because if I don't, I'm going to forget it, and that I have quite a bad memory these days, and the reason for that is because of my because I've been attacked so much by the negative and MILAPs and the negative military influences that have been attacking me for a number of years now, has affected my memory. And if you research into the MILAPs and the negative military, they do. That's a very common symptom. They do affect the memory. So, and for that reason, I do have to write everything down as well. And I just wanted to say that, you know, someone asked me years ago, I was given a reading years ago in Ireland, and someone said to me, what do you think of David Icke? And I said, well, I really like his work. And this was like 10, 20 years ago. I really like his work, but I don't like the way he puts fear into people. I don't like it. Now I get it. I absolutely get it. You know, he's been talking about this stuff for 30 years, and he was ridiculed. He was taken the piss out of on internationally on a mass scale. You know, people laughed at him. People walked down the street. People must have acted in a much more negative way to him as well, calling him names and things like that. And I'd be surprised if people hadn't spat at him at some point. So, but now I get it, because I don't think now, and I did back then, I did 20 years ago, I didn't like his work because, well, I did like his work, but I didn't like his approach and how I thought he put fear into people. Now I have a different understanding of where he's coming from, because I think at times I put fear into people as well. That's my thoughts now, that I must put fear into people sometimes. When I start talking about the war of the worlds and negative ETs and being attacked by the military, black ops, and being targeted and having my phone listened to and being bribed and being offered money and all kinds of horrendous stuff, I must put fear into people. And because I'm so passionate about it, you know, this is my life's work. This is why I'm here. This is my mission on earth, is to help raise the consciousness of humanity as a whole. And I absolutely believe that he is very similar in that he is on a similar mission, like a lot of other starseeds. Probably has no idea that he's a starseed, but he is very passionate. And I think when you're very passionate like that, like I am, and he obviously is, when you're passionate like that, some people are going to get scared because there is no filter. I have no filter of what I will talk about. And it's very, very dark stuff. And he doesn't seem to have a filter either. And I think the way he comes across, he does put fear into people, but I don't think that's his intention. I think he's here to wake people up. And I think that he's not going to hold back in the way that I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to be stopped. Absolutely not going to be stopped. And I hugely get targeted, and I know he has as well. But he's been saying these things for the last 30 years. And I've got to the point where I think he's passionate, because where he does describe it as being in a lift, and lift doors are closing. And unless we put our arm through that lift door and say, no, stop, this is not right, this is not okay, and I'm not having it, the doors are going to close. So yes, I'm about love and light, but I'm also now at a point where we have to take action. We cannot allow this to be the end. We have to stand up, raise our energy, speak out, shout it out if we have to, not through fear, but through passion. You know, people are waking up now on a mass scale like this never happened before on Earth. This situation has so much going on behind the scenes, so much. So I don't think his intention is to put fear in people. The media's intention is to put fear in people, however, and no one is seeing that. No one is saying, well, I mean, some people are, but no one is saying, oh my God, the media is saying this, and oh my God, how can that be true? And yet they are saying that about David Icke. He may be wrong, he may be right, but he's up there speaking his truth. He's got a very strong backbone, which I highly admire. You know, I don't believe his intention is to put fear in people. I believe his intention is heart-based, and he just wants to get the information out. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I think the same too. And I will say that, well, the same thing is true of Alex Jones of InfoWars, although Alex Jones of InfoWars is a little more wild and crazy than Ike is on camera. He was a little more mild-mannered in the 90s. Don't know why he got a little more wild and crazy in the present day. Interestingly, though, David Icke isn't allowed on Alex Jones's show anymore because Ike does not support Trump and Alex Jones does, and it's a shame that just because of that, he doesn't let him come on the show anymore. But hey, everybody's got their own opinions, and Trump is an enigma. We're not really going to Trump. That's not important, though. But one thing I do want to talk about a little more detail now, and by the way, let me just say, I do think what you say, listening to David Icke and also Alex Jones too, don't think of it as, oh my God, he's scaring me. No, they listen to that to make a man out of you. And if you're a woman, well, make yourself a big tough girl if you're not a man. And well, because I say, listen to Alex Jones and David Icke made a man out of me, helped me overcome my fears. And I think that that's what they want to do for the sake of expanding love. So, and if you can agree to disagree on whether or not their style is the best, but whatever. Anyhow, moving on, I do want to get into the thing about genetic manipulation of humanity. Now, the thing about the fall of Atlantis, the general timeline is about 13,000 years ago when we actually had another galactic alignment like the one in December 2012, although 13,000 years ago was a summer solstice alignment. rather than a winter solstice one, that was when Atlantis fell, and it was said that Atlantis fell for a couple of reasons. One, they were using their crystal technologies for service to self instead of service to others' purposes, and well, that kind of from a maybe consciousness law of attraction standpoint enabled the negative energies and entities and reptilian aliens from Draco, whatever, to come in and invade the Earth. But and you said they tampered with the genes of humanity. Well, the thing is, they've been tampering with, and when I say they, it's not just the reptilians from Draco, it's also like malevolent Anunnaki factions that Zachariah Sitchin talks about, and some malevolent ETs from other star systems like the Pleiades. But Zachariah Sitchin's work, his work is validated by some like Akashic Records readers, among others, to be very accurate, and that we're talking about 300,000 years ago. They came to Earth 450,000 years ago, but they genetically manipulated us like 250,000 to 300,000 years ago, and it wasn't one manipulation; it was several over the course of time. And the one that you're talking about, I presume, was 13,000 years ago. Yeah, we were invaded, but we did have our genes tampered with at that time, and that was the fall of Atlantis. Am I right on that? Is that basically how it is?
Yeah, that's basically how it is. I haven't been given any times, so I probably would have to agree with you on the times because I don't know. But I was watching a video last night actually by Greg Braden, who released the video, I think it was a couple of days ago, and he's now saying that science, he's now saying that science has proven that our DNA was changed. So science is now proving our DNA was changed. But I've been saying this for years. Our DNA was changed, and it's in my book. And he's just released the video recently, like last couple of days. But I'm sure it was proven before by a different scientist where our DNA was changed. But it was changed. So science is now proving what we've been saying for years. But it's a very similar time. There's a big parallel for what happened in Atlantis to what's happening now. So I know there's only roughly an hour left. I just want to get through this information because this information, they keep stressing upon me a sense of urgency to get this out there. So I'm trying as much as I can to get it out as much as I can.
Okay, I do want you, Judge, I mean, before you do, yes, I want you to get it out, but at the same time, if you could make sure you really, really get the key stuff out, and maybe, I hate to do this to you, but maybe do it on the fly because I'm looking at your website and I see that some other things that we can talk about, like Easter Island, Secrets of Egypt, Power of Prayer, Dinosaurs Walk with Man. I do want to talk about that stuff, if for only maybe 7 minutes on each subject. So I'm going to ask you to maybe get the key info out, but please try to do it on the fly some way so we can get out some of this other stuff on the Pleiadian School of Light material that you have on your site.
Okay, love. So I'll go through this as quickly as I can. Okay. If anyone does want to go into it more, then it's on my website for free at the moment. So grab it while it's free because I'm going to put a price on it soon once I've added the new info. My website is thepleiadianchild.com. Okay, so it is a bioweapon that's being created on purpose by the negative agenda. Food. We need to go back to basics now. I cannot stress that enough. We need to start growing our own food, our own crops, even in small quantity. If we don't have a big piece of land, the more land, the better it is. We absolutely need to do that because I've been told that food will become in short supply and big demand, and if it does, we are screwed because we're relying on supermarkets to give us the food that we need to help to sustain us. If that goes, we're fucked basically. So we need to start growing our own food now because I do believe it will become short supply and high demand. GMO crops and chemtrails are real. Supermarkets and pharmaceutical companies have huge control over us, and we need to come away from that. We need to take back our power, our divine right. We need to take back our power and not give away our power to supermarkets, pharmaceutical companies, banks, the big corporations that are ruling us. Medications are not good for us. They can cause several different complications. So we need to come away from all of that stuff, the stuff that really rules us, the food, the banks, the pharmaceutical companies, the three major players. We need to come away from them, take back our control. 5G also has an important part to play in this. And that hugely affects our energy, our systems, our bodies in a huge negative way that they don't understand yet. So mostly understand yet. So that's really something that's very negative on our systems. If you imagine a plug being plugged into a socket and it frazzles, that's what it's going to do to our systems. Money and banks are stopped. When I wrote this, it hadn't happened yet. So money and banks are starting to dissolve and fall away. The internet is going to go down. There are going to be power cuts. So get candles and torches ready. You prepare yourself. Get your foods and cupboards stocked and your freezer full. Get growing vegetables. That's hugely important. Get growing vegetables now. Either find a bit of land or a bit of square turf or pot plants or anything where you can grow food. Get them in now. It's really, really important. The weather. This is new information that's come to me the last couple of days. The weather is going to be changing. There's going to be huge storms. There's going to be tsunamis. The land is shifting back. So when something hit the earth at the time of Atlantis and knocked the earth off its axis and shifted the poles, that is being shifted back now. So we're going back to the earth is going back to its natural axis. So that will include storms, tsunamis, which has probably been happening for a while. So I'm not going to say that this is happening for a week and it's going to start and then it's going to stop. This has been happening for a while, where the earth is shifting back into its natural axis. This is like a birthing process. Our DNA is also changing back to its natural state, its natural original blueprint. So if you imagine a string being pulled from a coil, which would be our DNA, it will naturally go back to its original state, which is what's happening now. However, we are also getting help with this and assistance from the positive ET energies. Birds. The birds are hugely being affected by something. Now, I don't know what it is, but it's happening worldwide. Vaccines, they're going to start installing compulsory vaccines that will probably become compulsory. God knows what's in them. There could be microchips. We could be being chipped in the future if we allow it. Homeless people haven't been, homeless people in London, there's a huge amount of homeless people in London, and they are the most vulnerable people in catching the coronavirus because they have no access to cleanliness, to showers, to baths, to soap, to hand sanitizer. So they are the most vulnerable. Now, if the government really cared about us, they would have targeted and collected the homeless people first and made sure that they were okay, because they have less cleanliness through no fault of their own. They don't have soap, they don't have hand sanitizer, they don't have showers or baths in the way that we do. So they would have been more vulnerable. They would have been at higher risk and therefore at higher risk of spreading coronavirus. The government does not give a shit about us. It does not care about elderly people, about homeless people, about abused children. It does not. So if it did, they would have been the first group of people that it would have come to save, because they are at a higher risk of carrying and spreading the coronavirus, and they haven't. I haven't heard anything in the news about them doing anything. There's going to be mass sightings of UFOs around the world, and they are here en masse like they've never been. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be landings or sightings or some kind of disclosure that is genuine. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a fake one, because there probably is. However, there is going to be at least one genuine sighting where they come and connect with land and connect with us. And that nothing is shown on the news about the mass sightings of UFOs, and there are mass sightings of UFOs going on. And I also believe there's going to be where they're coming, landing and connecting with us. There are natural remedies as well. There's two waves of energy hitting the earth at the moment, one positive and one negative. Ascension, this is to do with the ascension, where our energy is raising, our vibration is raising, our consciousness is raising. We're in the midst of a mass awakening of humanity, the likes never seen before on earth, with one exception, which didn't actually happen, which was Atlantis. So there's a strong parallel between Atlantis and what's happening now. Our original blueprint is going back to the way it was meant to be. War of the Worlds, starseeds, rainbow warriors. We are the rainbow warriors. We are which are the starseeds. I've come to understand that rainbow warriors are starseeds, are indigo children, are crystal children, are light workers, are Reiki, are shamanic, are you know, there's a whole list of subcategories to starseeds, which is all in my book. And also the starseeds is also a subcategory, or the same thing as being a rainbow warrior, which was written and prophesied by different Native American tribes like the Hopi and the Cree. So that's not new information. We are in the history books. This is, if anyone listening looks up the rainbow warriors, we are the rainbow warriors. And then I've got a section on what we can do in the book, and there's a whole list of things which I won't go into now, but it is important because we are fed fear. We are fed fear through the negative agenda and negative ET energies, through the media, through the news, through the radio, that keeps us on a lower frequency, a lower energy, lower and lower and lower and lower. And in order to fight this war for humanity, for the earth and our mother, we need to keep our vibration high, and not let ourselves be pulled down into fear or depression or feeling low, or oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God, what is David Icke saying? What is going on? We need to keep our vibration high through different techniques. So there are techniques where you can keep your vibration high. It's really important that we do that, because otherwise you will become fearful, you will become scared, you will panic, you will start in your mind will become overwhelmed with all this stuff, and it will pull you down and pull you down and pull you down. And different emotions have a frequency level that can be measured. So that's yeah, I haven't put that into my updated version of the book yet, but I will be doing that. So emotions can be measured by frequency. Those frequencies, the lower frequencies like fear and anger and hostility and depression and negative energy, are all coming through the media. So it's really important that we do keep our vibration high.
Okay, so you're done talking now, right?
I am, Andrew, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I saw you getting the drink on the screen. I didn't know if you just wanted to pause there, but thank you for pointing that out. And you've given, oh, it's only pie time, 3:14. So I guess we have plenty of time to talk about some of these other things. Well, first of all, let's get the negative stuff out of the way. Under the services page, missing persons and police work. Now, David Icke's talked all about how the reason there's so many missing children that will never see the light of day is because they've been kidnapped by people who work for the Draco reptilian aliens who like to eat and drink the blood of children and feed off of their loosh energy. Well, hopefully that's not going to be happening anymore, because the word on the street, according to people like David Wilcock and some other researchers, is because all the child trafficking underground bunkers and all, where child abuse, sex, and whatnot and satanic rituals have been all but taken out. So that should definitely decrease. It's a shame in this society you got to be a child molester to get in the government or corporate high positions. That's going to end soon, hopefully. And police work now. Oh my God, the police, love them, hate them. I mean, they're supposed to keep the peace, but yet they're trained to like enforce malum prohibitum public policy, and not, which is not law. I should stress, it's not natural law to punish someone, even though the person you're punishing does not harm or intend to cause harm through negligence or deliberate intent. You have the right to do anything you want as long as you don't violate that criteria. And yet you see people get arrested for, well, it seems like drug offenses are the most obvious in your face case of this, but there's so many other examples of people getting arrested because someone in government passed a public policy, not a law, but a public policy, which forbids something because someone doesn't like it. Of course, all the other civilizations out in the cosmos don't have to worry about that, and therefore there really is no need for privacy. Everybody can say, well, I smoke pot, I do LSD, and I do this and that, but I'm not hurting anybody, and nobody cares, and nobody worries about having to keep that private because there's no corruption in the police work, but there is now, and I've kind of gotten on my police's shit list in the local community with all the work I do at expose corruption at a public informant level. I'm not going to elaborate on that any further, but some of my longtime listeners may know what I'm talking about there with the stuff I've done to try to keep the police in line in my community. I don't care what they think about me. They're my public servants, and that's what matters. So they answer to me. But regarding missing persons and police work, what is the significant stuff you want to get out here?
With my work?
Well, yeah, that's what it says here. Missing services. What exactly is this pertaining to?
Sorry, Andrew. Yeah, no, I do still do that. I started. I was 16, and I came down. I was in the morning one day. I was living in Falmouth at the time with my half sister's dad, and we were living in his house, and I came down the stairs and she had the news. My sister had the news on, and it was just in the morning. It was 9 o'clock or something, and this it was a big profile case at the time where a young girl had gone missing or had been murdered, found dead, and I saw in my mind's eye that it was him. It was the stepfather, and that hadn't been discovered yet. They hadn't discovered that yet, but. And that's what unfolded. But so I was seeing images of what had really gone on in my mind's eye. I'd seen images, so I was getting the information psychically. But I don't really. So I have worked for the police before. I have worked for findme2.com, which was a guy in America who was a policeman, and then retired and started to set up a charity using with the help of other psychics and mediums to find missing people. So I started working for his charity, findme2.com. I don't really, unless I don't really kind of advertise that service anymore, unless someone comes to me wanting to help to find someone, which I do. I do still do it. I don't do it as much as I used to. I tend more.
Oh, okay. So you're the kind of person that was like the psychic who wants to help the police. Okay, I get it. That's what this is. That's why this is under the services thing. That's the stuff.
No, well, I used to. There have been cases that I have worked on the police with.
Okay, and I'm dying to ask you, how do you go about making sure that the police don't name you as a suspect because you knew too much and they don't think psychics are real, so they're gonna automatically label you a suspect because they don't believe you have genuine abilities? I'm sure that's happened more than once to you. How do you go about that?
Has happened. Yes, it has.
So how do you go about that? How are psychics supposed to deal with that?
Well,
if they want to help the police but don't want to get thrown in jail because you're under arrest because we have every reason to suspect you now.
Yeah, no, that did happen. That happened in Galway in Ireland, where a traveller had passed away, and he came to me in spirit and kept telling him to go away. I didn't want to help. I just wanted to be left alone. Leave me alone. And I was saying this for about 2 or 3 weeks to him. And he was called Tom and lived in Galway. And he was a traveller, he was a gypsy, and kept telling him to go away. And I kept seeing these signs, missing signs on lampposts and everywhere in the town. And Galway is quite a small town. So I kept seeing the signs everywhere, and I was like, oh. And eventually I got to the point, I said, okay, I saw the final sign on the wall. I was like, almost walked into it. And I was like, oh, for God's sake, okay, I'll have to help you. So I went and I called the family and got in touch, and then I went to the police as well. And the police guy just was a complete idiot as far as I'm concerned, and wasn't listening to me and wanted to know how I knew the details when I just told him I'm a psychic medium and I've got these details. And then he turned to me and said, well, how do you know? And I was like, oh my God, really? You know? So, and then he started to question me. And I was like, oh, fuck, you know, because he started to ask me exactly what you're saying. He started to question me as if I was a suspect. And I kind of started to back away, mentally started to back away. So I just thought, fuck you, basically. And I went to the family and I just worked with the family. So that's one case where I was under the suspicions of the police. However, it turned out that exactly what I said would happen happened, and his body was found in the water a couple of weeks later, and he had been murdered. So, yeah, I have been, you know, they have suspected me. I feel it's more important to talk about the coronavirus and stuff, because it's such a big event.
Right. But before we do, just cover these subjects on the fly, because these are such great subjects that definitely have more to talk about. Let's do them quick on the website here. Indigo Crystal Rainbow Children. Now, are you saying Indigo Crystal and Rainbow Children are one and the same, or can you compare and contrast an Indigo Child, a Crystal Child, and a Rainbow Child? Let's quickly knock that out for all the people that are confused about it.
Okay. Well, we are evolving. We are evolving. We are becoming more conscious, more awake, we're evolving. Humanity is evolving, and our consciousness is evolving in stages. So indigos came first, then we had the crystal, then we had the rainbow. I believe there are perhaps another 2 more that have came in since I got that information. I don't know what the other 2 are called, or if they've even been recognized yet. So there could possibly be 5. The 2, I don't know what they're called, but you've got the crystal, sorry, you've got the indigo, the crystal, and the rainbow. I'm an indigo, and they came in different stages. So the indigo were the first ones, and then you have the crystal and the rainbow, and then I believe there's 2 more that came after that. So each one would be more aware, more psychic, have more abilities than the previous one. But a starseed so indigo, crystal, and rainbow is a subcategory of being a starseed. So as time has gone on, from about I would say that recognizably from the 1900s, we have evolved. Our consciousness has evolved, and the crystals, the indigos, and the rainbows are part of that. Starseeds are here now on Earth at this time to help to raise humanity's awareness and consciousness as a whole in order for us to survive. And I hadn't realized it was such a big event. I had thought that it was just throughout my lifetime that this was my purpose, this was my mission, this was my reason for being here, is to help to wake, like any other starseed, is to help to wake up humanity on a mass scale, to help awaken the consciousness of humanity. But what I hadn't realised until last week, until very recently, is that it wasn't just over the course of my lifetime, but there was actually going to be an event taking place on a mass scale, and that kind of knocked me for 6 and pulled the rug from under my feet. To the point I went into the garden and I started to channel the Pleiadians again, and I was asking for guidance and information, and please come and share this information with me, because I didn't want to get it from the news, I didn't want to get it from the media, I didn't want to read other information from other Pleiadian channels. I always just want to get it from them, because then I know that it's true, it's real, it's pure, it's just vibration and knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you. All right, let's nail another one of these subjects down. The last one on the list here. Well, not the second to last. Dinosaurs walk with man. A couple things about this I just want to get out. I remember Akashic Records reader Andrew Bartzis saying that the idea that dinosaurs were killed by a giant meteorite that crashed into Earth 65 million years ago is a mainstream history and mainstream science lie. That's not actually what happened. Whatever that crater is in the Yucatan is not the thing that killed the dinosaurs. It's something else, maybe nuclear blast or something. Um, Nuclear blast in antiquity. Yeah, they're for real. But anyhow, I've heard something at a conference I was at. The dinosaurs were actually killed by some sort of some sort of like, you can think of it as chemtrail spraying, even though there were maybe not planes of sorts. Some chemical was sprayed around there in order to like, basically it was a great flood of sorts to kill dinosaurs, but it didn't involve water. It involved some sort of a chemical spraying, and I don't really know the details. It was a conference from a while back. That's what I heard, and of course there are stories about dinosaurs, not stories, but real things about dinosaur fossils and human fossils being found together in the
I,
same rock layers.
I,
So what do you know about this?
well, I was actually shown as a child that dinosaurs walked with man, and I was between the age of 9 and 12. I don't know how old I was because I do have memory blocks to do with the abuse as well. So I was shown that as a child that dinosaurs walked at the same time as man. And when they told me that, when the Pleiadians, okay, sorry, I just need to take a note. Okay, so when the Pleiadians told me that dinosaurs walked with man, I didn't realise it was the Pleiadians telling me. I didn't realise my connection to them. I didn't realise I was from there. I didn't know who they were. I just thought they were my guides or spirit. So I didn't realise the full impact or the full implications of who I was connected to. When they told me that as a child, which to me, which to me is profound, for any child to be channeling the Pleiadians, that is sacred, whoever it is. So for years, I just, I said to them, that's crazy, that's cracked, that's not possible, that's not what we're taught, that's not what we're shown, that's not what we're led to believe. And then when I began to consciously channel them in 2009, they told me that again, that dinosaurs walked with man. And I did go away and research it at the time, and I found that there was now evidence to prove that. Because if I had come out as a child when I was told that information between the age of 9 and 12, they would have locked me up, Andrew. They would have thought, my God, what? Dinosaurs walking with man? And this would have been back in the 1980s. So I don't know when the information was found. But I did have to research it. So I did research it, and there was footprints found at the same time as man walking on the earth. What I also was shown by the Pleiadians is that, and I'm not a researcher, I'm a channel for the Pleiadians. There are times I do have to go away and research stuff, but I don't do it in depth. I don't have time. I don't have time on earth. I'm 46, 47 now, and if I'm lucky, I've got another 40 years, 50 years. So I don't have time. It's very time consuming to go away and research stuff. And I have the uttermost respect for people who do, because it's very time consuming. But I just get the information from them because I don't have time to research stuff. So I did have to research that a little bit. So what they also told me about dinosaurs at the same time is that they also created dinosaurs for us so that we had a meat source. They created dinosaurs for us so that we had a meat source, and that we as humans hunted them to the extreme, and then something happened. Not sure what it was, but we hunted them to extinction. That's what happened. We used fire as well. We used fire to hunt them. So we would create circles of fire and entrap the dinosaur within the circle of fire. But we hunted them for meat.
Interesting. And speaking on a similar note, some guy at another conference I heard about dinosaurs actually said that all dinosaurs were actually plant eaters, including the T-Rex. The idea that there was a meat and a plant eating dinosaur is another lie. I don't know. Is that true? Well, I don't know, but
I don't know.
well, really
I don't know. It's possible.
possible. All right, but we got other things to talk about here. Let's switch gears. Power of prayer. That's another thing I want to talk about, and I'm actually going to have a guest who unfortunately had to cancel a recent show, but he's going to come on, I think, next week. Some guy who's part of some major global prayer initiative to try to make the world a better place. I don't really know if he's a Christian per se or a devout Christian. If he's a devout Christian, I better make sure I don't really talk about metaphysical stuff, because some Christians don't think metaphysics is a threat to their religion. But one thing I do want to ask him, that I think I have to, on that note, would be whether or not it's a good idea to engage in prayer. Some would say that prayer implies lack. And from a law of attraction standpoint, that means you're not going to get what you prayed for, because by praying it, you're saying I lack it, and law of attraction will screw you over in that regard. Is there truth to that, or is that not necessarily the case?
No. What I believe is that we create our thoughts. We create our own reality. So if you want to manifest something, focus on it. Create it through thinking and feeling about it. Our thoughts create our reality. So if you are thinking about something, you create it into your reality. However, if you are feeling bad or in a bad state or negative or fear or a lower emotional state, you're not going to be able to create what you're wanting, because you have to get into a good feeling state so that you can create what you want. You have to get aligned with you have to get aligned with who you are and your it's about getting into alignment with yourself and your higher self, so that you're not being pulled down and dumped down by negative news and media, because that's their aim, that's their part of their negative agenda. So thoughts are creative, and you can create your reality through your thoughts. However, it's the feeling behind the thought that creates. So you need to get into a good feeling state. You need to lift your vibration. I do believe in the power of prayer, the power of thought, that we manifest our own things into reality, which is how we got here in the first place. We came from spirit here. Okay, so I don't, with the power of one, if you take one person sat by themselves meditating with the intention of love and light and positivity, on a very high vibrational scale, that will have some effect. However, if you multiply that by 1,000 people, or 1,000 of anything, if you multiply one by 1,000 of anything, the outcome is much greater than the one. So 1,000 people coming together in prayer, 1,000 people coming together in protest, 1,000 people coming together to take action, 1,000 people coming together to sing together, 1,000 people coming together to meditate together, to change outcomes, has a huge effect and a huge impact on us. So it does make a difference. It absolutely does. 1,000 people coming together, standing still and being love, will raise the energy of their surroundings and the energy of the people in their surroundings, in their proximity, because energy flows. It has fluidity, it has movement, it's like smoke, it's contagious, it spreads. So we can make a difference. One person can make a difference. When you take the likes of the Dalai Lama or David Icke or David Wilcox or Lady Diana or Alice Walker or people operating on a higher frequency, like yourself, like myself, people that are awake, aware and conscious, we can change the world. We can make a difference. yes, we do need to stand up and fight and take back our power. We absolutely need to do that. We also, however, need to raise our frequency, raise our energy, raise our vibration, and stand in our power and be love and be light. Because as we raise our own consciousness, we are helping to raise those consciousnesses within our proximity. So when I sit at home and I meditate and I raise my energy, I'm raising the energy around me, which will include my neighbour, who may be 3 foot away or 10 foot or 20 foot. It depends how much I can raise my energy and expand my aura or my electromagnetic energy field around me. So one person can change the world. I'm not really into religion. I was brought up as a Catholic. I became a Buddhist. I shaved my hair off, about to take vows as an Annie, as a Buddhist monk, and I didn't. I went off and worked for a charity in Nepal instead. But I then had to come away from the religion after I was separated, because I didn't feel like I could stay in the Buddhist religion and be part of it, having seen the way my husband was not very spiritual at all. So there's good and bad in everyone. There's good and bad in every religion, in every creed, colour, race, nation on earth. There's good and bad. And the same can be said for religion, for governments, for those in power. But it is ruled by negative forces, negative agendas, who have puppets running around. So that's how it is. They're puppets. Some of those puppets are good, some are bad. Some are aware of what's going on, and some have no knowledge of what's going on at all. Religion is controlled by negative forces. It's absolutely controlled by negative forces, especially the Catholic Church and the Christians. So that's my understanding. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. We don't need to go to war about it. We're all
right. We don't.
No,
And
we don't.
although I know earlier you jotted down the date, April 8th, 2024, is that eclipse. When that eclipse, I said that happens at the same time Pluto and Capricorn, end everything that's not in humanity's best interest. Well, that would have to include religion, you would think. Maybe religion is going to be one of the last things on planet Earth that crumbles at the end of this Pluto Capricorn cycle in mid 2024. And now all the people that follow religions, I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but I mean, what could be a better blessing than to realize that you have to give up something that you've believed your whole life in order to attain something better, and that something better is the fact that you're infinite consciousness. You are God, because God is infinite consciousness. I mean, what's wrong with the sacrifice? It seems like a great sacrifice to make to me. But anyhow, let's move on. I want to move on to something else.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
it's okay.
Andrew.
Go ahead.
But religion is about control. Religion is about control. And if you start researching this stuff and start looking at some of the stuff that priests and holy men and the Pope and people that in high power within the religion churches have done in the name of religion, some of it is very dark, horrendous stuff. So there does seem to be a link between religion and the people in control within religion, especially the Catholic Church, that are seem to me to be very controlled by negative forces and negative energies that are running this planet. So religion is not. I do believe in spiritual, and I believe I am a spiritual person, and I'm very much into the spiritual stuff, which is at the opposite end of the religious stuff. Religion is about control. Money is about control. Food is about control. The supermarkets are about control. The GMO crops are about control. The chemtrails are about control. The school system is about control. The internet is about control and censorship. So the vaccines are about control. We've been set up on a mass scale to be controlled and dumbed down. And this event that we're at now is so critical it is everything. We either win or we lose. We do or we die.
Well, getting on to how we're going to do that, I do want to point out something. Tell me if you resonate with this or not. I remember Indigo Child Matas de Stefano saying around the year 2022, I don't remember what month, but about 2 years from now, basically a grid of sorts on planet Earth, a metaphysical grid, is actually going to go through some sort of a ascension process of its own, and what the effect of that is going to be that humanity on Earth is going to be able to get along with each other better than they would otherwise if this grid connection ascension thing that's happening in 2022 is not going to happen. Does that thing make sense to you?
It does, Andrew. What I've been shown is that a veil of amnesia, or an energy of amnesia, was placed around the Earth that has caused us to forget who we are, where we came from, and why we're here. That's also to do with the ways that the stars are aligned up, and to do with the Mayan calendar and a birthing process. Everything is shifting now. Everything is shifting. It's been turned on its upside down and inside out and back to front. Everything is shifting, and there's so many different strands of what's actually going on, and it's all interconnected. Atlantis is going to be raising again. The Earth is shifting on its axis back to its original blueprint, as we are with our DNA. Our DNA is going back to its... Sorry, Andrew, I'm getting emotional because I'm so passionate about this. You know, this has got nothing to do with me. It's the information that's coming through. And I didn't have any secondary schooling. I didn't have any education, secondary education. The Pleiadians stopped me from going into the school system. And they told me word for word. So, because if I had have, I would have been lost to them. So I know that this stuff doesn't come from me. So everything is changing now. The Earth is changing back to her original blueprint. Our DNA is naturally changing back eventually to its natural state of DNA that was changed intentionally by negative ET energies at the time of Atlantis. Our DNA is also being assisted by positive ET energies, or star nations like the Pleiades, who are helping to raise our energy, our consciousness on Earth. The stars also have a huge impact on what's happening in the universe, what's happening on Earth, because the things are lining up, things are being put into place with the stars as well. Stars are aligning. Atlantis is going to raise again. The time that you were saying about April the 8th, the 2024, there are times that have been written about in the past where we've had shifts of energy, where there's been a wave of energy hitting the Earth, and it's been predicted by science, probably misleading on purpose, that it was going to be the end of the Earth. It was never going to be the end of the Earth. It was an end of an era. It was the end of an energy force, an energy wave that was on Earth or from Earth or coming to Earth. So it was the end of a time period, a time frame. With everything shifting now, it's universal, so it's affecting the whole universe. It's not just affecting us. Stars are lining up, things are shifting, things are being put into place. This is the end of humanity as we know it. We are evolving on a spiritual level. We are the rainbow warriors that have been predicted for thousands of years. I don't even know when that prediction began, but most of the ancient sacred people have been wiped out because of their spiritual knowledge, their understanding of who we are and where we came from. It has nothing really to do with religion or with colour. The Native Americans, the Irish, the Blacks, the Jewish, the Aborigines, I can't name all the others because there's such a long list of them. They were all spiritual people, and they've all been nigh on wiped out from the face of the earth, and had their power taken away from you. had their power taken away from them. So a classic example is the Native Americans, classic example. So, and the Egyptians as well, the same thing happened. And the Mayans as well, same thing happened. There's so many different tribes, and they were all spiritual. They've all had their power taken away from them. It's nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with colour. However, it always seems to be the white man that goes in and takes land.
Yes, someone taking land, always not a very pleasant sight, just like what happened with Columbus, who was a despicable man, invaded, I should say, yeah, invaded America. But anyhow, I want to get on to a couple of other subjects here on the Pleiadian School of Light thing. Now, you say religion is created by the bad guys, and it was. However, that does not mean that there's entities of light that are influencing that to make sure that it's not screwing us over. That gets into the thing here: angels, ascended masters, guides, and higher beings of light. Now, one quick thing I want to say before I give you the chance to talk about this. Cryon, who I like listening to, he asserts that our view of like an archangel, of a winged highlight entity, like in Archangel Michael's case holding a sword, he says that that's just the way we view it because that makes sense to us. In reality, you can't really give a description like that because these are higher consciousness entities that we can't adequately imagine. So he just says, you guys, that's the way you viewed it, but that's really not what it is because you can't imagine what it really is. And he's also said that spirit guides should not be thought of as other entities. He should be thought of as parts of you, your soul. As you came into Earth, yeah, part of you, your soul, is incarnated in a DNA skin suit human body, but other parts of you, your soul, are around you as spirit guides, and that would make sense if you are infinite consciousness, you're everything that is, and, well, does that make sense to you? Do you agree or disagree with all this?
I agree. I absolutely agree. We are shown things so that we can understand them, and that includes images of how they look so that we can resonate with them. A lot of the time in history, angels were not angels, they were actually star nations that came from above, came from the heavens, came from the skies, that came down. You often see them with wings, because they came from above and they flew down, probably in machines, in UFOs. When our DNA was changed at the time of Atlantis, we stopped having the ability to see them and to connect with them. So they've never gone anywhere. What's happened is our DNA has been lowered so that we no longer have the vast majority of us no longer have the ability to connect with them or see them clearly with our sight, with our eyes. They have not gone anywhere. They've always been here. They've never left. It's just that our DNA was lowered so we wouldn't be able to connect with them. So they show up. So with images so that we can recognize them, because if they showed up in an image that we didn't recognize, we would start to question it more. So when, for example, when Archangel Michael shows up to me, I see him with a sword and mostly in blue, and he's typical of images of Archangel Michael, so I know it's him. But behind that, that's how we perceive them to look. So that's how they look to us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. And I think you've explained it pretty well. And we've got only about 12 minutes to go. So how about this? Secrets of Egypt and Easter Island. How about you spend 4 minutes on the important things on Egypt and 4 minutes on Easter Island? And then how about the last 4 minutes, the A to C guide of spiritual alternative therapies? We could do a whole show on that, but I just want you to give out maybe 2 or 3 alternative therapies that you see as the best and why you think they're the best. So how about that? 4 minutes on Egypt, Easter Island, and alternative therapies.
Okay. Okay, let me start with the alternative therapies. I think regression, absolutely regression, and past life regression. You could spend a couple of years in counselling, talking through stuff. When you see it and you see that you had a past life in Egypt and your power was taken away and this happened and that happened and that happened, you can correlate to it to now and why you have a bad back, or why you have a problem with your throat and speaking out, or why you have a problem with your hearing, or perhaps you were shot in the leg and now you have a problem with your leg. So our past lives do affect our life today. We carry energy with us from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, and energy can also connect to us in one lifetime and continue to connect with us in the next lifetime, both good energy and bad energy. So things are not separate. Everything is connected together. We are all one. The around the earth at some point in history, we were to do with the war of the worlds, we were massively attacked en masse in large groups, came and attacked us in large groups. So large groups of ETs came and attacked us on Earth, and we built tunnels, we built hideaways beneath the Earth, we built secret places where we could shelter and be safe, mostly from them. So that is real. There are tunnels that connect all around the Earth, probably in its entirety, so you can walk the beneath the Earth through tunnels in all its entirety. So you could go from Africa to Asia, to England, to Ireland, to the US, to America. You can connect through the tunnels that were built deep beneath the earth. Egypt is one of them. Egypt was one of the first places that had tunnels beneath Egypt, and that's been proved now by Sarah Parcak, P-A-R-A-C-A-K, I think, where she's a satellite archaeologist, and she's proven now that through satellite imaging that there are tunnels, vast amount of tunnels, and things beneath Egypt that lay unhidden from us. So there is a connection between all of the sacred sites, like Egypt and Easter Island, where so every secret, every ancient site on Earth has a secret tunnel beneath it, because they were sacred people, they were ancient people, and they had vast knowledge and awareness, and they were being targeted because of that. It's not a war on colour or religion, it's a war on awareness. Keep them down. So we did build tunnels beneath the earth, especially the sacred sites like Egypt and all of the sacred sites around the earth, including Easter Island. And the Easter Island, whenever I look at the statues, I was told about this, and I've written about it in my book. It was channeled to me that there is a group of 13 statues on Easter Island. And when you look at, and I forget now what they channeled to me, but there's something about 13 statues on Easter Island, and 13 sacred sites, 13 statues, 13 star signs, 13 crystal skulls.
Yeah, okay, you continue to say that there was an Ancient Aliens episode about Easter Island where they did mention how the statues could represent some number, and I'm thinking maybe it was 13.
Yeah.
So you may want to check that out, and people may want to check that out for themselves. But continue.
It's in my book. It's in my book, Andrew, that I wrote in 2009.
Oh, okay. I'll check that out too. But the Ancient Aliens episode is another place where people can quickly check on it to look into it. But
so there's. Sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. I'm just trying to get out the info.
I'm the one who should apologize for interrupting, not you. But continue.
It's okay. So there was something else I was going to say then. I've forgotten now what it was.
About the 13. You kept saying 13 stars. Says 13. Well, or are you done with that?
No, it was before that.
Oh, I don't know what was before that. So sorry, but I just want to talk about Egypt, the Easter Island, and the alternative therapies. We've got about 8 minutes left. 7-8 minutes. So if you want to get out some last things and then get out what maybe your material, anything you like, your events, anything. If you sell anything, you can give out a sales pitch to close the show out. So I'll let you finish. You got the floor.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Andrew. So what the Pleiadians showed me in the early days when I consciously started to channel them, 2009, it was actually through a guy called Joshua Shapiro, who at the time I didn't know who he was or what he did. He just sent me an email saying, hi, I think we should work together and blah, blah, blah. And through him, I began to channel the Pleiadians. He really opened the door for me. And we're not really in touch these days, although I do say hi every now and again, but he really opened the door for me. So I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking they must have told him my name. The Pleiadians must have told him my name in order for him to send me an email from random, halfway across the world. And they must have. And what they showed me at the time, after he'd contacted me, was that they have a book. The Pleiadians have a book with a list of all our names in it. So it contains all the names of the starseeds that were sent here, that came here, that were brought here, that chose to come here. It's all our names in it. So that was interesting. But Egypt has vast amounts of knowledge that are kept and hidden from us. Some of it has been found, not all of it. When I was 12, I believe I was 12, I walked into the lounge, and on the news was the Sphinx. And as I was looking at it, I started to get downloaded with information, and I wasn't seeing what was on the news. I was seeing downloads of information that the Pleiadians were telling me, and I was only 12, but they showed me that when you look at it head on, if you're looking at it head on, the right hand paw, as you look at it head on, has steps going down, or had steps going down, and a secret chamber or area or something, a secret something that was being kept from us, that was being hidden from us. Now this has probably been found because I was 12 when I was being told this information. So we've been lied to on a mass scale about everything. The other thing I just wanted to mention quickly is that I do now believe that Jesus was Pleiadian energy, and that given my experience that I had with Jesus, where he stopped me from committing suicide at the age of 12, and my connection to the Pleiadians, I have been shown that he was Pleiadian, and I do absolutely believe that. And there are several other people who have said it as well. So it's, when you really start getting into this stuff, there's so much that's hidden from us. And the school system is part of the negative agenda that is lying to our children about history, about science. Bullying is part of it. Bullying has been going on since schools started, and it's still the same today. That is part of the negative agenda, is to be bullied, to be lied to be manipulated, to be controlled, to be dumbed down, to sit down and shut up and not be allowed to go to the toilet. I mean, isn't that a basic human right?
Well, if a kid tries to abuse the "may I go to the bathroom" in order to cut class, then they're kind of doing it the wrong way. So maybe that's the idea behind setting a threshold on bathroom time. But yes, if you gotta go, you gotta go. So I mean, but since you mentioned that, do you agree or disagree with the idea that classrooms are good for humanity? I mean, saying children should be out playing, not in a classroom. Well,
Yeah.
okay, but what good is it if they're ignorant of how things work? I mean, isn't a classroom good to some extent? And how do you draw the line between?
Yeah. We need to educate our children. We absolutely need to educate our children. But when you know what's really going on, and you see the impact and the effect and the negative agenda and what they're doing, you soon begin to realize that it starts in school. The negative agenda has set up the school system from the get-go, from the very start, in order to control the children, to take away their control, take away their thoughts, their beliefs, their intuition, their everything. It dumbs them down. So yes, educate the children, teach them how to sing, how to dance, how to laugh, how to be in nature, how to grow food and vegetables, and how to communicate, how to be intuitive and psychic and aware and awake, and how to communicate with plants and animals and trees and stars and star beings and Jesus. We are not alone in this universe, and the very opposite is true. The very opposite is true in schools. So yes, we need to educate them about our real history, about what's really going on, about our real science. The vast majority of science and history and our technology that we're told about, and pharmaceutical companies, is a complete lie. And yet we're teaching our kids this stuff that is nonsense, that energy, that we don't have an aura. I mean, that's one of the first things that is one of the basic things. So, you know, I'm not saying that teachers are bad and evil, because they're not. The vast majority of them are not. I'm sure that there's, you know, some of them are and some of them are not. But they're puppets being ruled by a system that does not have their best interests at heart. So, you know, yes, teach the kids, absolutely. But when I look at kids today and they're 16 and they've just come out of school, they've got no self-esteem, they've got no self-worth. They can't look at you in the eye. They feel down, they feel depressed, they don't know who they are, they don't know what the world is about, they don't know where they came from, they don't know where they fit in, they don't feel like they fit in. They're so conditioned, and they have their power taken away from them at such an early age, at such a mass scale, that it's cruel. It's absolutely cruel to send your child to a school knowing that the bigger picture and who's controlling the school system and systems and how it's run and why that's why the school systems were set up. They were set up to control and manipulate and dumb down kids, dumb them down. Yes, educate them, but educate them in a way where they learn stuff that is valuable, that is our true history, that has value, not some science that was written back in the 1400s that says we came from apes, because that is utter nonsense. We came from apes. We did not come from apes.
Thank you for giving your take on that. So, all right, to close out the show, you can make your sales pitch now, get out your website, anything like contact info. Since you're from the UK, I don't really expect to be going to any events that you're going to. If you want to come to America, you're more than welcome to. Maybe I'll see you at a conference here if you do. Although it's interesting, I found a coin in the street that was a €1 coin, of all things to find in America. It's a French euro coin. Maybe that's a sign that if I find my dream girl, I should take her to France on my honeymoon. But that may actually happen this year, because that's a sign in the Chinese zodiac for tigers like me to find our dream girl. But okay, I'm babbling and digressing. This is your chance to have glory. You can, your events, your services, your website, close us out, contact info. You got the floor to close.
Thank you, Andrew. I just want to say, whenever I find coins, to me, it's a sign that I'm going to be going to that place. So hold on to that coin, because it means you're going to be touching that money in the future. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for listening. I know that I do get passionate about this stuff. My intention is not to put fear into you. It's absolutely not. My intention is to share what I know to be true, is to help to raise your energy, raise your level of awareness, raise your level of consciousness. And I do that with times. I do it with passion. At times, you may see me on interviews where I'm very laid back and quite passive and don't talk in the same way I'm talking now. So there's times I get very passionate about it, and I'm in that place now because of the severity of the time we're in on Earth. We need to take our power back. We need to stand up and use our voice and meditate and come together. If you want to have a look at my website, it's thepleiadianchild.com. I'm Carol Noonan, and I've written The Pleiadian Child as well. I've written another book which I'm going to have to update because I'm still in mid-flow with it. I thought it had finished, but I'm now having to add to it because channeling is coming to me on a daily basis from the Pleiades. So don't order it just yet, or no, actually do order it now. Get it while you can because it's free, but know that there is more info coming on a daily basis. Love yourselves, be love, especially when you're faced with fear or negative thoughts or emotions or energy, wherever it's coming from, if it's coming from the hemispheres or if it's coming from your neighbor or if it's your own negative fear and emotion. Love is the answer. Love is what will see this through. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. Step into your own power, take back your power, take action, and be love.